Hey guys, a lot of times when I'm sitting and figuring out how to make extra cash when I'm waiting for a pullback or correction in order to average on something. For example, what I'll do on a red day where maybe, QQQI, which is one of my holdings, isn't below my cost basis, but I want to make some income. Well, if we get a decent red day in the market, I consider selling puts on something I don't mind holding. So today I chose QQQI because I own a few hundred shares already and I sold a put at a 54 strike. So going from December 29th to August 21st expiration, and I received 430 bucks on that put minus the 65-cent commission that Schwab charges basically. But anyway, if you're going to look at leverage, how that leverage is employed and what kind of return you're getting. Basically, you're looking at your principal that you got leverage, which is $5,400, and the profit made in the premium. I'm not going to count that 65 cents. I'm not worried about. Anyway, my profit on the premium received, which you receive up front, is 430 bucks. That time period is from today, December 29th, to August 21st, where that option expires, right? 235-day period. So the math on that, basically what you're doing is taking that 430, dividing it by the leverage used, which in this case was 5,400 bucks. Your result, your raw profit, is a return of 7.96%. Now, to analyze that, you take 365 days, because there's 365 days in a year, and divide it by the 235 days of your contract. It gives you a factor of 1.55. That's how many times that those amount of days would fit in a total year. And then you take that factor, which was 1.55, multiply it by the percentage raw return you had gotten initially, which was 7.96%, and you get an analyzed return of 12.3%. So over 12% return in that time frame on leveraged capital. So that's what I look for when I'm doing options. I look at the underlying. It's got to be something I want to own, like in this case QQQI. But because I own QQQI significantly below the current share price, I want to. If I get a sign on an option, I want to be assigned close to where my current cost basis is, because to me, yield on cost is important, right? So that's why I don't buy shares, because I want a deeper pullback. But if I get a red day, but it's not significant enough to get below my cost basis, I will consider selling options on it. So if I'm not assigned, that's fine. It's just pure profit because I'm paid that 430 bucks immediately, right? So that's capital I could actually use right away. Of course, I do get that 5,400 leverage, but that's fine because so long as I'm getting a double-digit return, which matches or comes close to matching the dividend income I get on analyzed based on QQQI, I'm happy because one, I don't want to be assigned above my cost basis that I currently have. I'd rather wait for a pullback or correction because I'm already outlined pretty heavily with a couple of hundred shares of QQQI. So all I'm trying to do here is basically generate additional yield that can beat like a money market fund or something like an ETF like SGov that only pays between 3.5% and 4%. So on an analyzed basis, I'm beating that. Now I'm not going to go all in and do all my available cash this way, but what I would do is sell that put that I showed you in the beginning, and then have it in action. Maybe I close out early if there's a bounce in the market the next day, but the reality is I'll probably keep this one in play. And what will happen is if the market dumps further, if QQQI goes down further, I sell additional puts, same strike, but I up the amount of premium received. So I'm averaging up in premium. In other words, I'll hold this for weeks and see what happens in the market. And if we get a significant pullback, start stepping up what I receive in premium. And it's another way I also garner money that I could use for other things, like investing in something else. Like I'm currently trading HYT and I'm buying shares, so I'm generating income this way because I received the 430 bucks up front, basically. Yeah, you could complain that I'm using up leverage, but that's a good use of leverage in my opinion. If you get over a 12% return, and all your risk is basically getting assigned on something you want to own at a discount. You see what I mean? So the underlying when you're doing options is very important. You got to want to own the underlying. And in this case, I don't mind owning QQQI at about, the 54 minus the 430 receive, which would put me in under $50 a share. I'm perfectly fine with that. It's slightly above my current cost basis, but not by much. All right, guys, take care. Bye.